Let's make some fine-looking loading animations with Blender using grease pencil and geometry nodes. This is a beginners-friendly tutorial, so let's go! Open Blender with the 2D animation preset. This sets up a grease pencil scene with the camera pointing straight to our canvas, ready to be drawn in. Up here you can see that we are currently in draw mode. I'm using the pie menu in this tutorial to switch between different modes. You can press ctrl+tab or go to settings and toggle tab for pie menu. This is so much faster. Also, disable auto keying down here. We won't be needing it in this tutorial. When this is on, keyframes are automatically created when you draw or move stuff in the viewport, which we are going to do. Also, let's change the end frame to 100 frames for now. First, let's set the strength to 1 and select flat caps from here. From this side toolbar, select the line tool. Draw and hold Shift for a straight line around this big. When you are done, press Enter to confirm. You can press F2 to rename this object. Let's rename this to bar. Next, let's add some thickness to this line. You can do this in edit mode by selecting the line and increasing the radius with Alt-S shortcut. But we are going to do this the easy way. So let's go to the Modifiers tab. Add a thickness modifier so we can control the line thickness more easily. Set the factor to around 15 or more to make a thick line. If you forgot to increase the strength, you can add an opacity modifier with uniform opacity turned on. Next, we are going to add the gradient to our bar object. So switch to object mode. Press Shift A over the viewport and select empty plane axis. Press G to move and place it around here. Select the bar object again. Add a tint modifier next. Set the strength to 1 and type the gradient. Select the empty from this object list and tweak the colors to your liking. I will change this side to red color and this side to green color. You can also move and scale the empty object with the G and S shortcuts, or increase the radius here. Next, let's add a build modifier so we can animate the bar more easily. Since we have so few points, the build modifier doesn't animate smoothly like we want to. So, we need to add a subdivide modifier. Hold here and drag the subdivision modifier on top of the stack. Change subdivision type to simple. Set subdivisions to 5. If you think the animation is still a little bit janky, you can duplicate this subdivision modifier and change these subdivision values to change the smoothness of the animation. We are going to disable this build modifier for now, while we make other changes. The increase in % animation can be easily made with geometry nodes, so press Shift A in object mode and add a mesh plane. Press F2 and rename it to numbers. Up here, add a new workspace. Select General, Geometry Nodes. Down here, add a new geometry node tree. We don't need this group input node, so press X to delete it. Shift A shortcut works here as well, so add a string to curves node and hook it to the group output. You can select your font here and play with the text orientations, spacing and all that if you want to. This string field is what is showing on the viewport. Let's type something so we can see our object. As we can see, the object is not orientated like we want to. So, we can select the object, press R, X, 90 to rotate it to match our view. You can move the object with the G shortcut and scale it with S shortcut. You can press this camera icon to switch to camera view for better tweaking. Place it near the end of the bar and scale it to fit your needs. Next, let's add a fill curve node so we get some feel to this number. We can go to the Materials tab and add a new material. Change the color to black and set Specular to 0. Nothing is happening because we need to add a Set Material node to the front and select the object material here. You can switch the view mode here to actually see the colors. Now, how do we animate this value going up? We add a value to string node and plug it to the string slot. Changing this value increases the count. We can now change the spreadsheet window to dope sheet. Go to frame 1. Add a keyframe to this value node with the I shortcut. Next, go to frame 100 and change the value to 100 and press I again to create another keyframe. Dope sheet now has these two keyframes, but we need to press T shortcut and change the interpolation type to linear. That way, the speed is always the same. All good. Next, let's add the % character after our numbers. Add a string node and type the % symbol. Next, add a join string node and plug these together in the string slot. The order does matter, so make sure the value goes up and % goes below. Next, we can add a frame to our bar object. Change back to 2D animation workspace here. Make sure you are in object mode. Press Shift A and add a new grease pencil blank object. Press F2 and rename this to frame. Go to draw mode and select the box tool. Also, up here, change the caps back to rounded, or you might get a glitch with the stroke. Now, draw a box around the bar. You can press Tab key to go back to drawing phase. You can also press G to move this before you press Enter to confirm. If you want round edges to the frame, select the Circle tool. Draw and hold Shift for a perfect circle like this. Make it a little bit bigger than the bar, and then press Enter to confirm. Next, let's switch to Edit mode. Press 1 or select Points mode up here. Select half of the points, then press G, X to move it in the X-axis to your desired location. Next, select the keyframe at the timeline and drag it to frame 1 with the G shortcut. Otherwise, the frame won't be visible the whole time. You can change the frame to fill color by checking the Fill Material over the Materials tab. Just make sure you have alpha value set to 1, otherwise your fill won't show. If you don't want a stroke to your frame, you can disable it here. If your frame is blocking the bar object, go to Object mode, press G, Y, and move the bar slightly in the Y-axis. Next, we can add some effects to this. Make sure you are at rendered view. You can also press the Z key to change between different views easily. Go to Effects tab and add a rim effect to the bar object. Tweak these values to your liking or follow my lead. Then you can add a shadow effect and tweak these settings. Both rim and shadow effects have a blur option if you want to soften them out. Make sure to increase the samples. We can also do the same to the frame object, or copy bar effects to the frame at the outliner by dragging the effects stack on top of the frame object. If we want dots to our loading animation, go to the Modifiers tab and add a dot dash modifier to the bar object. Set the dash to 1 and play with this value until you have 10 dots here. You can also play with the thickness modifier's size and add more dots if you like to. Remember to now turn back the build modifier so we can see our changes. Let's make some more customizations. If you want to make your animation longer, you can change the end frame count first. Let's say to 250 frames. Then you can select the numbers object and go back to the Geometry Nodes workspace. Select the value string node and move these keyframes to 150 frames with the G shortcut. Then switch back to 2D animation workspace and select the bar object. change this build modifier frame count to 150 frames. That way, the animation runs for 150 frames and stays that for 100 frames. Awesome! Funny thing we can also do this is to add a noise modifier to the bar object, if you want some wonky looking loadings. Tweak the thickness and position for instance. You can also tweak all the objects by selecting them at the outliner and move and scale them like you want to. Next, we can change the world color to our liking in this panel. Finally, we can export this animation. You can head to the output properties. You can select the resolution and frame rate here. I recommend you render this as a FFmpeg format, an encoding container to MPEG-4. Next, you have to make your own animation. Tag me on social if you post your results there. Hope you liked this tutorial. See you next time.